Hi, I'm Alysha. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner and I own a private practice. And I teach other nurse practitioners how to find freedom and balance in their lives by starting private practices as well. So, this is the Splurge versus Save series, and today I'm going to be talking about what I recommend that you splurge on and save on when it comes to marketing and branding. Let's get into it. I am going to start with what you can save on because honestly, a lot of the things that you can splurge on are really the same, but it's going to depend on how much time you have available to build your private practice. If you are working a ton and trying to build a practice, say just like on weekends, you might have to spend a little bit more money on some of these things because you just won't have the time to be doing a lot of the DIY that I did and that I usually recommend that people do just because it saves money and why not? It doesn't require like an MBA to be able to do some of these things. So let's talk about what you can save on. So one is going to be your website. So I did my website through Squarespace. I designed it, put it together. I did take some marketing courses. They were for therapists specifically, but fairly applicable. And so I do recommend doing your own website. I really like Squarespace. It's about $30 a month. And Squarespace is really nice because it's pretty user friendly. You can choose, the fonts, colors. You can add in photos that you want, and you can really make it customizable. And I do teach in my mentorship program, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. I do teach how to do a full build out via Squarespace in that mentorship program. Another thing that you can really save on is your logo. So it's not necessary to hire someone to make a logo for you. This is definitely something that you can do yourself. Canva has a really wonderful, it's a really wonderful platform, and you can build out a logo. There's lots and lots of templates, and you can change the color, the font, everything. So you can make a logo on Canva. And Canva subscriptions can be used for so many things. You can make a letterhead for letters for your patients. There's all kinds of things that you can do. And so honestly, I really like it for a multitude of things, but Canva is very affordable. I think my account is like about $15 a month. Then one way that I have found to be honestly really the most successful for me for marketing is going to be building out word of mouth referrals. It's honestly just going to take a really time, but this is going to be free. So this would be identifying people in your community that you can connect with that have a similar patient population to you, and doing some market research, trying to figure out which other professionals would have crossovers with your niche. And then you would want to, draft emails to them and connect with them. And so that type of building out like a word of mouth marketing can be free. It's the cost of your time. So then let's cover some of the things that I think you could potentially splurge on. And again, most of these are going to be the exact same thing. It's just going to be if you don't have time. So website, if you don't have time, you can pay a website designer. I have heard some that are, more local that and work with a small amount of people, and maybe they'll be a little bit more affordable. But if you just look for a website designer just anywhere online, most likely it's going to be like $5,000 to $10,000. And the hard part about that is you might not have like full access to the website. You may have to contact them and pay them more every time that you are trying to make changes to your website. So they may essentially like own, part of the website, which isn't ideal, but could certainly, I feel like if that is one thing that's preventing you from feeling comfortable opening your private practice, which by the way, you don't need a website to open, but most people want to have that and have a place where patients go, right? But if that's preventing you and holding you back, finding a website designer that's more affordable might be the way to go. And you would splurge on that really only if you're super crunched on time and learning how to do your own. The other thing that's pretty cool is this is like a hybrid between a website designer and and like doing it yourself in Squarespace. And that would be that Squarespace does have people that you could hire that work for Squarespace in some way, and they will like help you design your website. I have never done this service, admittedly. I'm not sponsored by Squarespace in any way for this particular video or anything. So, so I've never really used that particular service where you can hire someone through Squarespace, but it is possible. So that would be a hybrid of like hiring a website designer to do everything or doing it yourself. So that's another good option. That's kind of like a splurge versus save middle ground. Then another thing that you may want to consider splurging on if you're limited on time, but you're able to spend a little bit more money, is like if you don't have time to reach out to referral sources, you can hire a virtual assistant and give them like parameters, like these are the type of people, these are the requirements that I have. And so identify these people in the community, draft an email, make a connection with them, make a virtual Zoom coffee with them for me based on my schedule. You know, you can hire a virtual assistant to do some of that legwork if you want to. That would be a way to get around. That would be something to splurge on. But then if you don't have the time to be doing, to be identifying some of the word of mouth networking, you could certainly hire someone to do that. And then you could, if you're strapped on time for building out some of that networking in the community, and you want your website to be out there more, you could also consider something like Google Ads. And then I didn't say this in the save section, but another alternative to Google Ads and they're not really comparable if we're being honest, but Google Ads kind of get your website out there more. Or you could consider like first doing something that's a little bit more budget friendly, and that would be things like blogging, so that you're blogging key terms that are going to be coming up more in people's searches. So again, they're not comparable to Google Ads, but there is kind of that consideration that you may want to try blogging before you do ads. You may want to do both. Ads can rack up really fast and be pretty expensive, and honestly, they're not perfect in every scenario. Kind of depends on like your niche, where you're at, you know, the other competition in the area. So Google Ads would certainly be something to, or like any other form of ads, Facebook or Instagram. You know, I think that would be very niche dependent, and that would take a little bit more teasing out of if that's the right direction for your practice. I talked about making your own logos in Canva. I mean, I feel like I should say this, but I feel like it's totally unnecessary. But like technically, you could hire someone if you're strapped on time to create a logo for you. But honestly, making a logo takes like an hour. So it's, you know, as long as you're not like too picky, I mean, maybe it could save you like time and energy and everything if you are spending like hours stressing about your logo. But I think maybe it's more kind of like letting that go and just like letting it not be like absolutely perfect and you know, moving on, because you can always change that later, honestly. So that was a really brief splurge versus save when it comes to marketing, branding, and advertising. Of course, there are so many more things on this topic. Oh my gosh. And if you are interested in learning more about this, I do have a private practice mentorship program. And so this includes videos, live calls, and a community forum where you can connect with other members and ask me questions anytime. And I'm going to link below how to learn more about that program. And it would start with watching the masterclass and applying for the program to learn a little bit more. But I do dive even deeper in the program about things like marketing, advertising, branding. And so, like I said, I have a Squarespace tutorial. I talk about even deeper into how to identify those word of mouth referrals that I think are kind of like the recipe for good referral sources, and how to identify those so you're not wasting your time like reaching out to lots of different places and getting nowhere. So I cover a lot of these things in more detail than I can in this video. And again, if you're interested, feel free to click the link below to learn more. And otherwise, happy practice building. Please like, subscribe, and comment. I would love to hear from you. Bye. See you next time.